More response videoing to the Jordan guy. Post a link, but whatever. Yeah, it's just whatever. It's whatever. Gotta do more. So here's more.
What's going on, YouTube? Okay, here's another list, or another reply to the graceful exit. And first I want to start with two things. One, I'm really not going to argue evolutionary biology with you.
Yeah, well, okay, but what does that mean? You know it all? you have the facts, I don't? It's an argument worth having. I mean, either we are just a reproducing machine invented by chemistry 4 billion years ago, or we're not.
Whether or not mutualistic strategies exist in nature or not, whether or not we're just confusing mutualism for let's get together and just kill the other people, that's fine. You know, I think it's really tangential to the discussion. You may disagree.
Well, yeah, I do disagree. It is sort of vital to the whole discussion is what are we? What have we been designed to do by the natural selection process? Is there something besides consumption and reproduction on the agenda? Naturally.
Agree. I'm also not going to argue with you whether or not medical intervention for people suffering from depression is effective, whether or not...
Well, it's sort of important, isn't it? I mean, well, see, I guess it's from my perspective. See, the title of the website is Graceful Exit. So, yeah, I'm on the side of giving people the right to gracefully exit, if that's their choice. We don't gracefully enter. We're not asked whether we want to be here. It's a rather significant event that goes on here. You know, even just existing in this country, you are basically killing Chinamen. You know, you are implicating. You know, you can't exist without being an implication, and that imposes responsibility. And, well, anyway, you know, look, I made it real clear in the last video. I mean, the issue here is where do we do this, you call it depressive, where do we do this pessimistic, optimistic bullshit? All right? How do we, let's have that rational argument. Because that's really what it's about. You're just applying some normative standard. You're saying, here's normal, here's majority, let's judge everything based on the majority standard. And that sounds kind of, you know, that's the kind of bullshit you would expect from a theist.
It's really worthwhile whether or not people are able to, you know, people who may have been helped by medical intervention really have been helped, or if they're brainwashed. I'm not gonna argue with you. I'm not interested in that. I just want to also apologize for insulting you by saying, you know, like, grow up. But while you may have interpreted that as ad hominem, I don't see how you elevated the discussion at all by suggesting one of my motivations was to profit off of people suffering so that I can buy hookers.
I didn't actually say it was one of your motivations. I said it was basically this what's going on in the business you're going to enter, and it is a business of medicine, the medical industrial complex. There's lots of legitimate criticism that can be applied to that industry and its ethics. So sorry if you took it as a personal shot. I'm just saying, obviously you have to evaluate what you're getting into, and so you've embraced some aspect of their mission. I mean, if somebody's going to war, I think it's okay for me to say, well, you sure you want to be blowing up babies and stuff? I mean, it's not a completely erroneous statement. You know, and as to what you're not going to discuss, I mean, I think these are pretty fundamental questions. So, if you're taking them off the table, fine. Whatever.
I mean, really, how is that elevating the conversation? So here's the gist of things. Here's a little summary. So Mike Cappucciaro posts the paradox of the absurd effectively. If this life is absurd or meaningless, why not kill yourself? It's a valid philosophical inquiry. I never presume that it isn't. And I agree with Graceful Exit on this point. However, the evaluative claim that this world is an imperfect, fucked up one is mistaken. The world is just...
Yeah, well, see, you say it's mistaken, but that's part of what this argument's about, isn't it? Again, we're back to the what are we doing? Are we just, voyaging through shit? Or are we actually going somewhere? Or is this really, anybody who doesn't see it as a wonderful vacation, paradise island, how can anybody refuse this marvelous adventure? Kind of propaganda, and that's the legitimate discussion to have. Like I said, what's the rational argument that this life thing makes sense? And it's not about whether or not nature feels or not, or whether nature thinks or not. The question is how do we rationalize it? How do we apply an equation to say, yes, consciousness is being bestowed, is being treated with proper dignity in this wonderful environment. Is life on Earth efficient? That's sort of the question here. And it becomes an important question when it comes to the human dynamic, because human beings are capable of applying judgment. Animals can't. They just do what their fucking biology dictates. They're completely owned by the DNA. We can step above it. And basically what's taking place here is as soon as somebody dares to step above it and ridicule that DNA, society and the status quoers like yourself whap that down good. Call an 800 number, okay? Preserve the integrity of the DNA molecule, 1-800 preserve DNA. Save DNA from ridicule. I mean, that's all it's coming down to.
Indifferent. It's pitiless. We look at it and judge the world through the lens that we choose. So naturally, if you're going to...
Well, look, we don't choose a lens, all right? It's sort of imposed on us by what we acquire as how much logic we have built into our brain, and how we order the knowledge that we acquire through our existence. So it's not arbitrary, and it's not a choice. It's what we're programmed, how the facts program us, the facts we're exposed to.
If you're not having your needs met through the competition and the struggle that is life, you'll evaluate the system as somehow broken or fucked up.
It's not even just about having personal needs met. I mean, obviously there's personal needs you have, like I don't need a knife in my head, and then there's needs like I'm intelligent enough to know if I'm doing something reasonable or not. And so if I'm on a voyage through a cesspool, I can evaluate that and say, you know what, voyaging through cesspools doesn't make a hell of a lot of sense.
People who inherit J.P. Moreland wealth from Daddy Bank and live in the cushy Ivy League life.
Are often miserable fucktards. They're, self-medicating with alcohol, or drugs. They even become murderous lunatics sometimes in the Getty cases. But whatever.
Might view the world as their oyster and as a relatively happy place, seeing as their needs are met. But let's give Maslow some credit and admit that even those blue-blooded bastards are going to find something to complain about. I also sympathize for the suicidal. There have been circumstances in my life where I've contemplated suicide. I'm just going to admit it right here. Glad I didn't. I'm sure many people...
Yeah, I know, but what if you weren't glad you didn't? What if you just piled on another 10 years and were sitting back and saying, oh, God damn it, I should have got it over with back then? I mean, it's just, this is arbitrary. The point is the system you directed people to has nothing to do with affirming a proper decision based on the person's values and philosophy. It has nothing to do with helping the person actualize their intent. It has everything to do with conforming them to this ideology of live, 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 no matter what the cost. I mean, I've made this argument before, but what exactly, when is, for human beings, it was in the title of my fucking video, for Christ's sakes, okay, when is life unacceptable? When is there something that's unacceptable? Has the human race ever run across it? It wasn't unacceptable to drop nuclear bombs on human beings. It wasn't unacceptable to accept a 6 million or 20 million person Holocaust. What if the next Holocaust is 3 billion? The assholes who will remain will sit there and say, oh, well, rats, we didn't do that one right. Moving on. And they'll just keep walking into the same bullshit. They'll keep walking into the same tiger trap. They'll keep They'll keep dragging humanity into the same cesspool.
People at some point in their life contemplate suicide. Consequently, my empathy compels me to offer these resources and words of encouragement so that those who really do want help in the midst of their despair can find it.
Yeah, I know, but shouldn't the help be to, like I said, to see clearly? I mean, maybe it is futile. Maybe there is no point in their circumstances living. Look, if I had no penis, I wouldn't want to be here. Are you going to convince me I should stay? If my legs are gone, you're going to tell me, okay, it's okay, you still got your arms. And if my arms are gone, you're going to say, oh, well, you still got your head. And, where does it stop? It never fucking stops. That's the whole goddamn point. It's always validated. You just won't let go of that. And you certainly won't respect an individual's right to act on their own judgment. And that's where this is where the argument gets hot for me. Because that's the same bullshit that the theology has been imposing on humanity forever. All right, you cannot stray from their fucking morality and ethics. If you do, they